We're going to pick up our study of trigonometry with the law of sines and follow up shortly here with the law of cosines. So far we've dealt with right triangles, but the law of sines and the law of cosines will work for any triangle. So the law of sines is written here. The sine of A divided by little a equals the sine of B divided by little b equals the sine of C divided by little c. It doesn't matter what the letters are, but basically what the law of sine says is that the sine of an angle divided by the opposite side is in proportion to the sine of another angle divided by its opposite side. Generally, marking up and circling on our diagrams will help make sense. So here's an example. I see that I have a 55-degree angle across from 11. So go ahead and circle that because I'm going to use that. And I'll circle this because I'm going to use this. Those are across from each other. And that shows me what my ratios are going to be. So this will be the sine of 40 degrees divided by x equals the sine of 55 degrees divided by 11. And I can go ahead and put these in my calculator at any point in time. Make sure that you are in degree mode. And I am. So I'm going to go ahead and type in sine of 40. And you always want to keep one more decimal place than you're told to round to. So I have 0.643 over x equals, and now I'll do the sine of 55. And I get 0.89. Divided by 11. At this step, we'll go ahead and cross multiply. So x times 0.819. Now you can only cross multiply if you have an equal sign and a fraction on one side and a fraction on the other side. So don't get confused, like if you are multiplying fractions, then cross multiplying would not work in that situation. So we have 0.643 times 11. We get 7.073. And now we'll divide by this 0.819. We want to get x alone, so it's going to be 7.073 divided by 0.819. And I get 8.636. So around 8.6. All right, and that gives us this x. All right, let's take a look at this other triangle. Now, sometimes we are solving for an angle. Whenever we solve for an angle, we're going to end up using an inverse. So I'm just circling these so I make clear what my proportion is, and that was a 70 right there. So this is going to be sine of 70 divided by 18 equals sine of x divided by 12. I'll go ahead and put in sine 70 into the calculator. And I get 0.9396. Now that 6 would round this 9 up to a 10. So that would carry over. So I have 0.94. Sine x over 12. And then I'll cross multiply. It was times 12, I think. Yep. So 11.276 equals 18 sine x. Now this sine x is all one thing. I'm going to divide both sides by 18. And I get 0.626 equals sine x. And at this step, I inverse sine. So I'm looking for this button on my calculator with a little -1, and sometimes it's called arcsine. And I get about 39 degrees. So x is 39 degrees. Okay, let's take a look at another example. Solving a triangle. Solving a triangle is when we find all the missing sides and angles. And sometimes in a problem, we aren't given a picture to go on. We're just given some information. And in this case, we're just going to draw a triangle. And hopefully, that triangle will have everything labeled correctly. So I have DEF. So I have my capital letters. Capital letters are going to represent our angles or our vertices. And lowercase letters are going to represent our sides. And they're always going to be opposite. So D and little d are going to be opposite each other. So angle D is 37 degrees. So I didn't really draw this in proportion, but it doesn't matter. And opposite of it, I just have to make sure I get everything in the right spot. So the 14 is opposite of the 37. And I have an angle E is 63 degrees. So it really doesn't matter where I put these letters, as long as I put the numbers in the correct spot. Okay, so I have my two angles and a side, and I need to solve the triangle. So across from big E is little e, and across from big F is little f. So I'm going to have to do the law of sines a few times here, but I notice I can get angle F fairly quickly. Because there's 180 degrees in a triangle, I can subtract the 63 degrees and the 37 degrees, and that will give me the remaining angle right there. So I'll go ahead and do that. I have 180, subtract 63, subtract 37, and I'll get 80 degrees. Wow, my diagram was really bad, but that's okay. Doesn't matter. Doesn't have to be in proportion. So there's my angle. Now I need to use my angles and my sides to get the rest. So I'm going to do this pair, they're opposite, and I'll do this pair. I'll try not to cover that up. And hopefully that'll give me little e. I could do the f's first. It doesn't matter. I just need to make sure I get everything. So I have sine of 37 divided by 14. That's a 14 right there. Equals sine of 63 over little e. And I'll go ahead and put sine 37 into my calculator. So sine 37. And I get 0.602. Now, you'll notice as I'm doing this, I'm actually using the answer function of my calculator to make things go a little bit faster. So sine 63, get 0.891, all over little e. Now I'm going to cross multiply. So I have 0.603e equals, now I'll multiply by 14. Get 12.474. Now I'll divide by that 0.603. And I get 20.686, so I'll just call it 21. E is 21. You just round to whatever spot the directions tell you. So now I'm going to get this F. F is across from E. And I could pair it up. I could do like sine 63 over this E that I just calculated, but I've rounded that, and if I made a mistake, then that would make me get a mistake doing F right here. So I'll just use this piece of information that I was given at the beginning of the problem. So I have sine 37 over 14. This and will equal this combination equals sine 80 over little f. And I'll put that sine 37 in my calculator, but I already did that. So just copy that over. And now I need the sine of 80. And I get 0.985. And I'll cross multiply. So I have 0.603f equals, and now I'll cross multiply right here and get times 14. So 13.787. And I'll divide by 0.603. And I get about 23. So F is 23. And now I've solved that triangle, so I want to make my answer very clear. And so my answer is E was 21, F is 23, and angle F was 80 degrees. And that would be my final complete answer, solving the triangle. Okay, let's take a look at basically one more thing. Area of a triangle. Now, the area of the triangle you should have learned a long time ago is a half base times height, and I'll just rewrite that real quick. BH over 2 means the same thing. You'll notice in this triangle right here, I don't know my height. And bases and heights must be perpendicular, so I couldn't use this 8 as my height because it's all slanted. Now, if you look closely, I have this triangle right here. And a height is perpendicular to the base, so I'd have this right triangle. So I'll bring it out right here. And I have my 65 degrees. I have my height. And I have my 8. Now, I don't know how long this side is, or this side, so I don't know where this height hits down here. But I don't need to know. This is enough for right triangle to go ahead and find the height. I see that I have the opposite side and the hypotenuse, so that's sine. So sine of 65 would equal my height divided by 8. And I could put sine 65 in my calculator. And I get this 0.906 equals height divided by 8. And I'll clear my fraction, so I'll multiply by 8. And I get 7.25. So 7.25 is my height. Make sure I copied that right. Yep. So now I could find the area of this triangle. So the area of the triangle is the base, 19. I just found my height is 7.25 and divide that by 2. So I'll go ahead and finish that off. Times 19 and divide by 2. And I get 68.88. Units squared, whatever units we're using. All right, so I could do all this for any triangle where I have basically a side angle side setup. I have a side right here, I have an angle right here, and then I have a side right here. It just so happens for any triangle that's in this setup, if I have a side, an angle, and then a side, I don't need to do all this. I could do a shortcut. And here's my shortcut. The area of the triangle, if we have a side angle side setup, is going to be the first side, I'll call it A1, times the second side, I'll call it A2. It doesn't matter what I call it, times the sine of the angle between them, all divided by 2. And basically, this piece right here, that's my height. So I'm going to try this one without doing all this extra stuff, and we'll see that it's pretty quick using this formula. So area of the triangle, this will be my A1, this will be my A2, and this is my angle right here. So 16 times 25. I don't know why I wrote a 6, so times 25 times sine of 73, all divided by 2. And I'm basically going to type all that into the calculator, so 16 times 25 times sine 73. And I need to remember to divide by 2, very easy to forget that. And I get 191.3. Units squared, whatever units I'm talking about. All right, one more example. That's basically what all this is, a good summative example. So this example says solve the triangle, so that means find all the missing sides and angles and find its area. So I'll notice right now I can't jump to the area because I do not have a side angle side setup. So I'm going to have to find one of these sides first before I can even find the area at all. All right, well, getting this missing angle is going to be pretty easy because I can do 180 minus 63 minus 45. And that will give me the missing angle. So 180 minus 63 minus 45. Get 72. So this is 72 degrees right here. All right, so let me label the sides I'm going to find. So this is big M, so this is little m. And across from here is little p. All right, let's find little p. So these are across from each other, so sine of those. And these are across from each other, so sine of those. So I'm going to find sine 63 all over 49 equals sine 45 all over little p. So sine 63, I'll put that in. I get 0.891 divided by 49 equals sine 45. That's a common one, 0.707 p. I'll cross multiply. Well, I'll just sine 45, just get it in exact. Some calculators do give it exact. So times 49. I'll switch that. All right, so 34.648. That was cross multiplying. Divide by 0.891. And we get 38.88. I'm just going to call it 39. All right, so we have one of our missing sides, this one. Now I'm going to find this one. So it doesn't matter which one I match it up with, but I will match it up with this one. So sine 63 over 49 equals sine 72 all over little m. And sine 63, I already did that, so 0.891 divided by 49 equals, we need the sine of 72. And we get 0.951. Cross multiply. And times 49. So 46.6. We'll divide by 0.891. And we get 52 about, so M 52. Okay, so we do have a bunch of options here that we could use in order to find the area. And it doesn't matter which option we use. I'm going to choose to use this side angle side combination. See, I have my side, I have my angle, I have my side. So the area of the triangle is going to be 39 times 52 times sine 63, all divided by 2. So So 39 times 52 times sine 63, all divided by 2. So 903. And that wraps this lesson up.